Right, okay. So Mark, you're one of the main monitoring surveyors here at Kemp's. Just in simple terms, what is deformation monitoring?
So deformation monitoring is measuring how something has moved over a period of time.
So typically, when do you need to actually do monitoring?
So normally monitoring needs to be carried out when a structure is at risk, or when there's a health and safety risk to members of the public, or to potentially contractors on site. This may be structures such as bridges, buildings, or even cliff faces.
When you're asked to provide a monitoring solution, what is it that you need to know from the client?
Where the site is in terms of access restrictions, that may pose a problem on the site.
Okay.
The direction of movement that may be happening to the structure, whether that's something that's being to twist and rotate, or simply decreasing in elevation. Things such as the accuracy that's required, the length of time on site, and then the accuracy of what the client is hoping to achieve.
I suppose the actual geometry and repeatability are all things that you're happy to discuss with clients and walk through and talk through on site.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And what sort of techniques do you use for monitoring equipment, etc.?
So we can use a wide variety of equipment, things such as total stations or multi-stations. We also have digital levels, laser scanners, GPS, tilt sensors, and crack monitors as well.
Can you provide some examples of when you've used some of these, which is the most accurate?
So we've used digital levels purely for vertical movement on a landfill site. These are typically more accurate than your regular total station for vertical displacement. We'll use total stations and prism targets for 2 and 3D movement displacement.
I've heard this term base data being used quite a bit. What does that mean?
So base data is the data we collect initially on site and what we will compare all our readings to subsequently from. Our base data reading may be measurements that have been recorded at the start of the day, then towards midday, and then at the end of the day as well, and then averaged out to give a precise reading.
And if there's a risk to safety, which you mentioned earlier on, can you provide any sort of systems that provide warnings to people on site or to occupants of buildings?
Absolutely. We can have text and email alerts from an automated system, and these are reporting 24 hours a day, and we will attend the site potentially once a week just to keep it maintained and make sure everything's calibrated.
Have you got to put targets on the structure to measure it, or is there other techniques?
We use reflectless measurements and scanning techniques to be further away and keep ourselves and potentially the equipment safe as well.
How much does it typically cost to monitor something?
Much varies depending on the job required and the accuracies required.
How long and how accurate, I suppose. Yeah, okay. When saying how accurate, are we talking millimetres here, or what sort of accuracy are we typically talking about?
Depending on the equipment, but we can get down to sort of sub-millimetre on monitoring.
How often do you go to site? I mean, you said weekly earlier on, but I suppose it could be monthly or quarterly, even annually.
Again, yes, it depends what the client requires. So we can do continuous monitoring, so we can be there all times of the day, remotely. But yes, we will be potentially once or twice a week to once a month, or once every 6 months, depending on
very job and client driven then, by the sounds of it. Yeah.
Yes.
And obviously Kemp's are based down in the southwest. Do you consider projects throughout the region?
We do. We'll typically be based in southwest from Land's End up to Bristol, but any project we are happy to consider.
So always happy to take that phone call and discuss the options.
Absolutely.
I understand that you've monitored cliff faces as well. How do you do this?
So that might be using prism faces that have been drilled into the cliff face itself, measuring towards those, or even using laser scanning techniques to measure the difference between before and after, potentially say a cliff fall has occurred.
And I suppose the actual targets, you've got rope access people that you hire into to do that sort of side of things,
absolutely.
And working alongside the geotechnical consultants. Actually presenting your results, how do you normally pass that over to the client?
So normally we'd be using an Excel spreadsheet that would show the variations from our original data to the data we've collected on site.
Mhm.
And it's a very straightforward piece of software that most people are familiar with, so it makes
Yeah.
it easy for our clients to understand.
Yeah, and they can manipulate it as they see necessary and get any graphs or anything that they want from it. If something is moving, are you providing engineering solutions, or is that somebody else's job?
No, we'd normally advise going to a consulting engineer who would have a structural and geotechnical expertise.
And what's the longest running project that camps have currently got on the books?
So our longest job would be the Bodmin Jail site, which we've been monitoring for the last 4 years. It's still ongoing.
For you personally, what's been your favourite project?
So I've really enjoyed doing the Padstow lifeboat station monitoring job, monitoring the cliff faces up there, and just a very spectacular bit of Cornwall to work in, really. I'm very privileged to work up there.
Excellent, lovely. Well, thanks very much for your time, Mark.
Thank you.